everyone, it's Jen. Welcome to my craft table. So today I want to show you how to make your own list of the Cricut pens that you might own, and where it will print out not only the type of pen that it is, but the title of the pen color from each barrel, and then of course exactly what that color looks like. So we're going to actually get our Cricut maker today to write all of this out for us. This was such a genius idea that I saw in one of my Facebook groups, and I just thought, wow, what an amazing idea. So this is my particular list, and I have a pretty extensive collection of pens, but I just chose a few to show you today instead of going through all of these, so that way it doesn't take too long. Okay, let's go ahead and head over to Cricut Design Space and I will get you going. Okay, so here I am in Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to come over to New Project in the top right. From my shapes, I'm going to choose a rectangle so that will represent the paper that I'm using. Okay, so I have my width at 4 and I want to change my height to 12, and do that up here. You do have to unlock this little lock button right here so that you can change them independently. If you change them while it is still locked, it will keep the aspect ratio and it will not size it the way you want. So I am simply wanting something that is 4 wide and 12 tall. I'm going to go ahead and lock that again. And for design purposes only, I'm going to change the rectangle to white because my paper is white. And I actually like to see how my design is going to look, even though we might be printing on different colors of paper or vinyl. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to go to text. And I am going to choose a text that is, I'm going to come over here to the filter, okay? And I'm going to click on writing. This will filter all of the fonts that are really good for writing. I kind of like this Sweetberry. We're going to try that today. And if you click on the little bookmark over here, you can actually bookmark your fonts for quick reference. Okay, so now it says text. The other thing I'm going to do is I don't want to cut anything. I actually want the Cricut Maker to write it. So I'm going to go up to the operation menu and I'm going to go down to pen. When you go down to pen, it will look like an outline. So we want to go to style and we want to change it to writing. So now it'll look like this, just like as if you wrote it yourself. Okay, and let's see, I'm going to change this to about 60. I don't need it ginormous, but I am going to, and if when I double click it, I am going to leave it at 60, and I want to title this as Fine Point Pen. Now obviously that is way too big for my paper, so I can just resize it. Okay, so here we go, Fine Point Pen. This tells me what type of pen that I am using. Also, you'll notice that the color is in black, and we will discuss the colors and the type of pen menu here in a moment. The next thing I want to do is I want to select both of those, and I'm going to center horizontally. So this will put this wording in the middle of my paper. Okay, next I want to grab the Fine Point Pen, and I can either right click on it, I can go to the edit menu here in the top, or I can come over to this layers panel, make sure that the one I want is highlighted in green, and I can hit duplicate. All right, once it's duplicated, then I can just move it where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to duplicate that 4 more times, or 3 more times. I want a total of 4 of these. Okay, so one more time. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to come over to my layers panel, and I'm going to hold down my shift key actually, and I'm going to select each one of these. I'm going to come up to a line and hit align left, and then I can just move this over. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to go through each one of these, and I want to write the name that I want to be written by the Cricut Maker. So I just chose some primary colors. So I'm going to go with red, and I suggest that you look at the barrel of your pen. It will give you the name. So we have red. My next one is yellow. My next one is green. Oh, I guess it would help if I select it carefully. Okay, and then my final one is blue. Okay, so I got our primary colors. Then I want to, I'm actually going to move this out of the way for right now. I want to grab all 4 of these. I want to go up to a line. I'm going to align left. I'm going to go back to align, and I'm going to distribute vertically. And what it does is it just basically kind of puts all of these spaced out together. Okay, so I am going to grab all of these now and align left. Okay, great. The next thing that I want to do is I want to talk to you about color. So I'm going to highlight red or click on red. I'm going to come up to the operation menu. I'm going to click on the color box. And if you'll notice, we have a menu. This says fine point 4/10 millimeter. That's the barrel of the pen. It is written on there. The other pen that I'm using today is the extra fine point, the 3/10 millimeter, and we will get to that momentarily. For right now, I'm going to stay in the fine point pen menu, and I'm simply going to scroll down until I find the color that I want. So there's red, then we'll have yellow, then I will have green and blue. Now, in your pen collection, every single pen that you own is not going to be listed in this color menu. So you might have to get creative and make like a little paper list with the name that you're wanting to be written out and a pen color that will be just associated with that, so that your Cricut Maker will essentially ask you to change the color after it writes each word. And the reason we want to do that is because I want one pen in red to write that, then yellow, then green, then blue. And if I had the yellow selected and but the color in the, if it was yellow but the color of the pen was blue, both of these would write in blue. So I just want to make sure that every single color in this list not only is typed differently, but it also selects a different color in the menu. Okay, so I think that looks great. I'm going to group these, and what that will do is I can move them around, they stay together, and then I'm going to bring that over here. Okay, so we got that. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and do another text box, and I'm going to change this to extra fine point pen. Now obviously that is too big, so I'm going to find out what size. The other one was, I have to resize this. And you can either have it look very similar, just like that. You can kind of get it to superimpose if you want it to be the exact same sizing. So that looks pretty good. But again, that is still way too long. So your options are, you can go ahead and wrap the text up here. Let's see, where is the wrapping? wrap on is under the alignment menu. So I can click on wrap on, and then I can just take my shape, if I can get it to, there we go, takes a minute sometimes, and I can go like that with my box. Okay, so this is where it's not wrapped, and then I can go like this, that will wrap it. Now I'm not sure that I really like that, but that is an option for you. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo all of this, and I'm just going to size it down. Okay, so it's a little bit smaller, but that is okay. So there's my extra fine point pen. All right, so that will look great. Now I'm going to come over here, and I am going to, notice the font size is 32.48. The other one, when I clicked on those, you can see that the red is 41.4, so is yellow, green, blue, and fine point pen. So they're all the same size. So now I'm just going to duplicate so that I have all of the sizing correct. I'm going to click on this, and I chose the same exact colors. I'm going to do red, and I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. So we have red, need my alignment to be left. I'm going to duplicate that 3 more times. And then we're going to change all of the wording. So now on the extra fine point pen, this actually says cardinal red on the barrel. So I will write cardinal red. Then my yellow one actually says mustard. My green one says bright green. And my blue one says cobalt. Okay, so visually, when I have these out on my table, they all look like they're the same, but they have different names. I am going to come over here, select all of the words, and I'm going to align left. Okay, I'm going to grab the bottom 4 words only, and I'm going to distribute vertically. All right, so that looks great. And then I will group these. Okay, now we're going to talk about the color choices. Okay, so over here in my layers panel, I'm going to just select one at a time. I got them all aligned and grouped, so I'm just going to come over here, select each one as we go. Now extra fine point pen is written in black, and that is okay with me. I'm going to come up to the color box, and this time instead of fine point, I want to go to extra fine point. So that is that 3/10 millimeter. And I'll just click on black because that's where it's going to stay. Then go back over to my layers menu, and I will choose cardinal red, go back to extra fine point, and then there is no cardinal red in this menu. Okay, so I'm just going to choose red. Now the Cricut Maker will prompt me to put in my red 3/10 millimeter pen, and I know that that is going to be my cardinal red extra fine point pen. Next will be mustard. Go back to the 3 millimeter extra fine point pen. There is no mustard in here, so I will just choose, let's see, I think that in this case I'm going to choose the word orange. Now I know that mustard is not orange. It is like a yellow orange, but it's not quite a yellow, not quite an orange. But in my list, I only have orange. You could, if you wanted to, go back to the fine point menu, and you could scroll down and use yellow or honeysuckle or candy corn. You would just need to make yourself a note that when the Cricut Maker prompts you for that color with that size, that you're actually inserting the extra fine point pen. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at orange. Then my next one is bright green. Go back to my color menu, extra fine point. I'm going to scroll down, and I don't have a bright green, but I do have a lime green. So I'll go ahead and choose that. And finally, cobalt. color menu, extra fine point, and go down and see my blues. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this at blue, and it'll prompt me for a blue 3/10 millimeter extra fine point pen, so I know that I will put that in at that time. Okay, so I have all of my colors. Okay, going to bring this over here like this. All right, the next thing I want to do is select everything one more time, and I want to center horizontally. All right, that looks great. I will be hiding the rectangle like this because I will not need the rectangle to cut out at all. That simply was for design purposes. So the couple things that I need to do is, first of all, I need to turn off the rectangle. Okay, so it doesn't need to cut or print that rectangle. The next thing is we have the fine point pen, all of that, okay, and if it is grouped, okay, now when I click on the group, if I come down here in my layers panel to attach, now I've already just hit it a second ago, but when I hit attach, that tells the Cricut Maker to create this list in exactly this orientation, this formatting. Go back to make, and let's see if we like the result. Perfect, that looks great. It's going to write out fine point pen, and then these colors, then it'll write out extra fine point pen and these colors. Now, it will not necessarily go in those orders. I'll explain that in a moment. The first thing over here is I want to double check. I have one mat, I have a pin, the mat is on, size is 12 by 12, okay, and I don't want mirror because we're not using iron-on vinyl. The other cool thing I want to show you is, let's say that you are creating this list to be in 2 different places, or maybe you were making one for you and a friend. If you change the number of project copies up here, hit apply, then it will duplicate it for you, the whole project. And you don't have to go through all the trouble again. You can print, cut, write it out all at one time instead of having to go back into the project and do it over and over. I'm going to go ahead and change that back to 1 because it was just me, and here we go. So when we go to continue, it's going to look for my maker. What you'll notice on your machine is that your power button is backlit with white, and then as soon as it has a good strong connection to your computer, it will turn blue. The next thing I'm going to choose is light cardstock. All right. Default pressure is fine, and it's going to tell me first off that no tool is required in clamp B because we're not cutting anything. Secondly, in clamp A, it tells me the first pen to be loaded. This says load the black 4/10 pen in clamp A. Then you will see this list here. It says coming up, and it says green, 4/10, yellow, 4/10, etc. Then so it has all of the 4/10 pens. These are the fine point pens grouped together. Then all of your extra fine point pens are grouped together. When I first learned how to do this, I really thought that this was the exact order that it would ask for, but it is not. And so what will happen is it will absolutely write all of these out, but it will choose the color that is next, and it will pop up on the screen right here, and it will prompt you to change the pen in your clamp. Okay, so let's go back over to the overhead camera and get everything set up. Okay, so you can see that I have my regular fine point pens. Those are the white barrels. I have the extra fine point pens. Those are my clear barrels. And these are the colors that we chose and have on our list. And they're just right here. Okay, the other thing, by the way, just before I forget, is you should always store your pens either upside down like this. One, you can see the color of the barrel. You can also see whether it is the extra or just fine point because it has a little label on it. And if you don't want to store them vertically like that, you can put them in some sort of container where they're horizontal. We just want to keep the pens where the ink is ready to use. Okay, another tip is before these get used for the very first time, I went through with a scrap piece of paper and I just doodled to make sure that the ink was flowing, because I didn't want to put it in my maker and have it not print for me. Okay, so we're going to use the standard grip, and I'm just going to take my paper, put it up here in this top, right? And again, I'm just using a small piece of cardstock just to demonstrate, all right? And let's see, I'm going to pull this a little closer so you can see what's happening with the Cricut. Okay, so I'm going to sit this in under those little tabs, and I'm going to make sure that it is there. Now, it did tell me to load my black 4/10 millimeter pen. So I'm going to open clamp A, and it has a little bit of wiggle in it, which is perfectly fine. That's what it's supposed to do. However, I like to just under this little arm right here, I just kind of hold it to give it some stability. Take my pen, and I want to make sure it is all the way pushed down. Okay, so one time I didn't put it all the way down, which I thought I had, but you'll hear it click, and then I just kind of make sure. Close clamp A, and then we're going to load. Okay, so it's going to measure my mat and my material to make sure that everything is the right size, and it is going to get the pen ready to go. So then I will be hitting the play button. Now, something you'll notice when it is writing is it does not write like we would write, where we start on the left and move to the right of the paper in order with our letters and writing our letters in a particular way. This will write it out in whatever way that it works with the algorithm in the programming, but you will notice that it's great. Okay, so I moved this out of the way just so you could see. It now says to load the black 3/10 in clamp A, and so I will change this out. Make sure you put your cap back on, and I always put my caps on no matter what. That way they don't dry out. That would be very sad. Okay, then I'm going to hit play, and it will go right the next one. The maker will prompt me continually to add the next pen. And once you get this all set up, it actually goes really, really fast. The first time I did this, gosh, it took me forever because I used all of my pens. I had to select a different color for every single pen, so the machine would prompt me and to change the pen. If you use the same exact color for different pieces, so different words, then it sometimes will do all of that at one time before it prompts you to check or change your pen. So I had to make sure that every word was a different color in the system so that it would not rewrite a different word in the same color. Okay, so it is prompting me now for the blue 4/10. And again, it will just choose whichever one it wants next. It will prompt you on your screen. You don't even have to think about it. You just follow the directions. Make sure your pen is firmly down in the clamp and hit play every time, and it will do its thing. Okay, so the list is finally complete. I'm going to go ahead and take out my last pen, put it back in my main pen holder. and you can see everything looks really good. The title of here is underneath this bar, but I've got everything written out. And something that I thought of while this was printing out was, this is my personal list, right? So I've got everything here that I need. This is wonderful. But if I was going to give some, let's say I was going to buy a little pen set for a Cricut enthusiast, I could make one of these and attach this, one of these little lists to the, you know, the package, kind of like a little card, a care card. That way it's already done. That would be such a great gift, is having this already done for the recipient, and so that they would know exactly what does each color look like when it is used in the Cricut Maker and it is written out. I'll go ahead and do unload, and then here I'll just show you really fast. Okay, so you can see that this is a much deeper red than this one. This is mustard. It is very mustardy. It's not as yellow. Like this is a bright sunny yellow. I don't know if you can see that very well. Green, bright green. So these colors are definitely not as bold and thick as these, mainly in the size of the pen, but I think it looks great. So anyway, I hope that I have been helpful and able to show you something that you could use not only for yourself, but be able to make a nice gift. If I was going to buy a Cricut pen set, and I would give that little box with one of these in a cute little bag, and I just think that would be a really sweet gesture for the recipient. Okay, well that's all I have for today. Go out, create something that's amazing, and happy crafting.